years ago lived Ojo, a wealthy young music producer. Most ladies loved him because he was very focused and down to the earth, even with his accomplishments. They knew he would treat his wife right, and so they started feeling for him. What I mean is that they look for every possible means to get close to him. Those who can sing started working with him just to be noticed. They will put on beautiful, decent attires, sweet-smelling fragrance, and good behavior whenever they go to his studio, as it is believed that a man is moved by what he sees. But it seems that's not for Ojo, because he was never moved. He was simply business-oriented and will collect money for all his productions, and in full. He was so good at his craft that they got value for their money. They kept returning, though some started losing interest in having a romantic relationship with him because they became wealthy and exposed and met men who fit into their lifestyles. But this particular lady, called Olaito, was madly in love with him, and she said, no matter how wealthy I become, I will attribute it to Ojo because he is my producer, and so I go nowhere. Even if he doesn't marry me, I don't mind becoming his baby mama so that the child will keep reminding us of what we shared together. Ojo is so calm, intelligent, too good to be a human. And I simply want to have a mini human like him, even if it takes 50 years. Omo, we die here. All this, she said to herself. And so, she kept firing her shots. But all her efforts were like filling a basket with water, because our Oga producer only saw a client and nothing more in her. One day, Olaito went to the studio to record with her friend called Anu. Ojo was doing his job and then staring at her. In his mind, this lady isn't giving me any signal, unlike others. Anu just sat down reading an inspirational book. Others who had visited didn't sit at a place. They kept walking around, asking incessant questions, forming phonetics. This made Ojo to pick interest, and he said to her, "Hello, pretty damsel, how are you doing?" Anu responded with her eyes still gazed on her book. "I'm very well, thank you." Ojo saw another plausible reason to turn his interest. She answered with her real voice. Others would have twisted their voices to sound like a nightingale. Olaito on her part was where she was, uncomfortable and observing them. Ojo continued speaking to Anu. "I am Ojo," he said, bringing out his hand. And Anu said, "It is so nice meeting you. You can call me Anu," reciprocating the handshake gesture. A few minutes into their conversation, Ojo brought out his phone to collect her number so they can continue speaking on phone and get to know themselves better. Olaito stood up immediately, interrupted by saying that she needed to attend to something urgently, and she dragged her friend out. And immediately Ojo understood the reason behind her actions. Olaito swore that she would never bring any of her friends again to the studio because she wouldn't want someone to stand on her way, as she was secretly nursing a plan. She didn't know she indirectly gave Ojo an assignment because he was determined to know everything about Anu, and that includes knowing where she stays. Everyone that walked into his studio, once they were done with their recording section, his question will always be, "Please, do you know any Anu? Tall, not so slim, beautiful and well-mannered lady." And all the people he asked had only no as their answers. He began to lose sleep, and started making mistakes in his production, all because of Anu. Could this be love at first sight? But I've seen sophisticated women and I didn't misbehave. Or am I charmed? All these were the questions he asked. But Ojo was a finished man because love won wonder. One fateful day, he was strolling through his Facebook and he saw Anu under friend's recommendation. He leaped for joy like someone who won a lottery. Amazingly, he was free because no production and no pending job. So he dwelt on her page for a very long period of time. He kept zooming every of her picture and reading through all her posts. He noticed that Anu is so reserved because no rasting, saga, or calling out on her timeline, and no indecent dressing too. All her posts were inspiring, well detailed, and only screamed a reader and a classy lady. He just said, "Ola into shame to you," and he quickly sent a friend's request and was waiting patiently to be accepted. 1 week passed, no show. 2 weeks passed, same thing. And Ojo started praying for her to accept him. Yet, nothing changed. Her page became his favorite, as he doesn't stay a day without visiting, just to be sure she comes online. Anu accepted his request after 3 months, and Ojo documented the date because it was a red letter day to him. They started chatting, and from chats, he got her number, and the rest became history. Olaito, though skeptical about their closeness, was pained. But how did they connect? This is a rhetorical question because she didn't expect any answer. Neither was she interested in getting any. Her sole interest was simply to quench the fire of love, burning already, before it becomes unquenchable. She said to Anu, "It seems you are keeping something away from your friend." Anu opposed by saying, "That's not true." And Alaito said to her, "You have been so clingy to your phone these days. You are always smiling sheepishly when you read messages, and you stay long on phone when a particular number calls. Don't tell me you are in a relationship and I don't know the man." Anu said to her, "You seem to know a lot about my activities, even more than I do." "Well, I am into a relationship, but for the man, you will know him when the time is right." "Which one is you will know him when the time is right?" Olaito protested. "Is he not fine? Is he poor? What is it about him that you are shy of? You know I am your friend and I am into the entertainment industry, and by extension I have met with a lot of people. You need to reveal his identity in case he has lied to you, so that you can pull out now that it is quite early." Anu had a second thought with the way Olaito romanced her reasons, so she told him she was in a relationship with Ojo. Olaito asked, "My producer?" with jealousy written all over her face, and Anu responded in the positive. "You would have told me before accepting to be in the relationship with him, knowing that I've been working with him for so many years now," Olaito said. "My friend, you have to abort the mission because Ojo is a serial cheat. Do you know how many ladies have fought in that studio because of him? Lady A will be thinking that he is the one and only lady in his life, only to meet Lady B with him, sitting in an ungodly position. And before you know it, hot argument that will lead to masbos. We both know that you're very fragile and you don't like wahala. Now only book matter you sabi o. Dating or marrying a music producer should be out of your list because ruggedity is an attribute required to chase the outcome of that decision. See me now, an entertainer, but I have never thought of settling down with people in the entertainment industry because their head no dey ever dey correct. She gave 1001 reasons to make Anu break up instantly with Ojo. But what's that thing again being said about people in love? They don't advise them, right? That's exactly what happened. Because the 1001 reasons she gave were all nonsense to Anu. And besides, she didn't see Ojo guilty as charged. She thanked Olaito so well and promised to work towards the breakup. This made Olaito happy, but she never knew she was fooled because no breakup happened. Instead, it was stronger and she was invited for their wedding. She didn't attend the wedding because she gave herself a compulsory vacation. She was pained. She refused to heal. Of all the men in the world, it was only Ojo she fancied. And that didn't stop, even knowing fully well that he's now a married man. Not just a married man, but married to her friend. She didn't mind becoming the side chick that will graduate into a second wife. She just wanted to have a taste of Ojo, get pregnant, and then entrap him forever. This didn't work because Ojo knew he married a treasure and was not in any way ready to lose her because of some sort of flings. So what she says to him, his response will always be, "Please let me discuss with my wife and get back to you." This response, as simple as it sounded, was the killer plan that frustrated all the devices of Olaito. She, however, concluded it was early marriage gragra, and so she gave them time to enjoy themselves, as most couples' love began to diminish after the first and second anniversary, especially when they start giving birth. She was so patient, not minding the fact that her time was going. As God will have it, Anu was blessed with the fruit of the womb. They were not as happy as Olaito. She pampered her and bought thoughtful gifts. Anu called her a friend indeed, not knowing she was an household enemy. Nothing she did freaked Ojo because he already knows Olaito will never change. Anu carried her pregnancy full term and gave birth to 2 boys, Taiwo and Kende. The first gift they received came from Olaito. She bought expensive gifts for the twins and for their mother with a note of thanks. Anu was confused. Why on earth will she be thanking me when we are not related by blood? She waved it, knowing how dramatic a friend can be sometimes. So she tagged it as one of those her usual dramas. Meanwhile, Olaito thanked her for giving birth, not just to 1, but 2, which she believes will take 90%, if not 100% of her attention. And then, Ojo will feel neglected, which will automatically create a pathway for her to sneak in and utilize the opportunity she had patiently longed for. Partially, she was right, because nursing a child is not easy, not to talk of twins and boys for that matter. She had no choice than to focus on her children, which eventually affected the relationship she had with her husband. You know that nobody pays detailed attention like someone who wants to perpetuate evil. Immediately, Olaito was able to decode the break in the couple's relationship because the every minute call of, "I just wanted to hear your voice. Have you eaten? Who is there with you? And all those little gossips here and there that newly-wedded indulged reduced drastically. She felt it was the right time to release her powers, like the libido shaker and the likes. So she went to buy revealing dresses. She worked on her body to achieve that standing breast, flat tummy, and good backside. I must say, she released all her powers because she became set that it will only take a disciplined man to remain unshakable at her side. One day, she came to the studio looking all peng. But thank God for a man like Ojo. He says trouble, and in order not to fall into this great trap, he gave himself reasons not to ever fall for the Jezebel. When she was done recording, Ojo boldly told her that the album would be the very last he will produce for her. But why? Olaito asked. This was the last thing she expected Ojo to do. And what it means automatically is that she had wasted her years waiting and planning to get him. She didn't want to be a complete loser, so she started displaying all what the doctor gave to her. They were good looking. They were fresh like today's bread. But Ojo opened the door and asked her to leave. She was disappointed and she called Ojo an old school. She said, "Do you know how many people dying to get what I'm offering you for free? Real men are having fun, but you have decided to be in the Orthodox League, eating only one meal without exploring." And Ojo said to her, "If that's the only way you describe being a man, then my name is Abigail. Abby for short. Madam Explorer, please leave my studio and never you return again." Olaito left angry, defeated, ashamed, belittled. You can please help me add more to the list. But was in no way ready to retire. Anu was still trying to navigate being a first-time mom, wife, and a career woman. She almost got tired of the marriage because of stress. They started having little misunderstanding. But Ojo will always look for a way to iron things out. As he already knew, it would be disastrous to get his mind shifted away from his wife. Life moved on. Anu thought she would soon be relieved of stress. But she wasn't informed that each stage has its own palaver. And the boys were mischievous. Their scattering habits is follow come. Then, talk of this minute they are laughing, and the next minute they are crying. Plus the every second reporting, Mommy, Taiwo did this. No, you are lying. Ew. Anu simply went for family planning. She automatically hung her boots in childbearing. Olaito was still not married, though men flock around her simply because of her shape. But she only collects money because with her caliber, the men coming her way were politicians who loot the national treasure and had no reservation in squandering it. So she became richer as the money they offer will take her years to get in her career. Her eyes were still fixed on a decent married man. The more she wished them to be divorced, the healthier the marriage became. So she launched her second and best plan. One fateful day, Anu went for her grocery shopping when she met a man dressed in suits with a big Bible. "Excuse me, madam," the man said. "Please, I have a word for you. And it is so urgent because it is a matter of life and death." The way he garnished his words, and he had to spare her time. They left the mall to her car, and the man said, God loves you, sister, and you still have an assignment here on earth, and that's why you opened my eyes immediately I saw you. I am not one of those pastors that will say things because of money. I don't need a penny from you because the one who called me has blessed me. This he said to buy Anu's trust. He continued, your husband is Ojo by name and a music producer. He mentioned so many things accurately about him and their marriage. And he asked, have you seen me before? Anu said, no, sir. And the pastor continued, it is only a man in the spirit that can say all these things accurately. Anu said, nodding her head in affirmation. The Spirit of God is leading me to last year. The pastor still speaking. I see your husband in the midst of friends who introduced him to something I can call a secret cult. If you can remember vividly, your husband's income multiplied last year. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Anu answered. Relax, the pastor said to her. They have demanded for your head, and you have just 1 week to leave that house. Otherwise, you will be 6 feet below. After he has said a lot of things, he prayed for her, quoting the scriptures just to prove that he is a sound pastor. Anu thanked him so well and took decision immediately to leave. She got to the house, pretended she never heard anything, and then cooked what I called the Last Supper. They ate and retired back to bed. When her husband left for work, she arranged her bag and told her not so little children that she will come back for them later as she wants to go find her feet first. She left, checked into a hotel where she made arrangements for a self-contained apartment. She made payments and then bought a little things and started living as a single. She could not go back to her workplace because she didn't want Ojo to come there looking for her. Based on the prophecy she received, she believed that someone who was out to kill would go to any length. She preferred to stay alive, look for another job, than to be in an environment where she can be found easily. Ojo returned home in the evening and met only the children at home, which had never happened. He asked them of their mother, and they said exactly what Anu said to them. If confusion was a person, it was Ojo at that time, because he couldn't comprehend what led to her traveling or wherever she went to. No misunderstanding, so he quickly prayed that she overcomes whatever was eating her up. Their secret CID or lighter was following up from a distance because she had planted spies that she pays for information, and that's like free money. So they were all diligent and never disappointed in their duties. Ojo became a single father all of a sudden. He would wake up as early as 5 o'clock a.m., cook, wash, sweep, and some days clean the house, prepare the children, and take them to school. And when they closed from school, he would pick them to his studio, and they will all retire to the house where he's done with work. This became his routine, and very soon, he became stressed out and took ill. Olaito's informant gave her these hints, and she came over to offer help as a good Samaritan. Ojo's state could not allow him decline. In fact, he called her an angel, and Olaito had a 360-degree spin, a victory dance, I must say. When she was done, she refused to go, and at night, she went into the matrimonial room, touching him in sensitive parts. But Ojo said he was too weak to perform. What a narrow escape. The next day, Ojo thanked her so well and asked her politely that she takes her leave as he felt better. "You lie," Olaito said to him. "The only thank you that we accept is having fun with you." And Ojo said to her, "You think it is hard for me to do? It is not. But I have a better understanding that it is more spiritual than it is physically. I know sleeping with someone automatically makes you entangled with the person. And you that have legions because of your walkabout. My dear, I am not ready to fight extra battles. Let me come out from the one I'm facing. Keep sharing your legions with your politicians and high-ticket men. I, Ojo, is a dead man when I'm around you. I am only alive when I'm around my beautiful Anu." "Keep deceiving yourself," Olaito interrupted. "Who doesn't know that your wife have left you?" And Ojo gave her the shock of her life by saying, "Whatever you hear from people remains a gossip until it comes from me. My wife went on a vacation and will soon be back. The stress is just too much. Working, taking care of the twins, and me, her adult baby. Now that I've answered you, don't you think you need a real man? Not the ones banging you like a dog or monkey." This was a straight and targeted bullet. Again, she left defeated and ashamed. "But who is lying?" she asked in confusion. But then again, Ojo is a complete husband material. 1,000 years. I just wish I can get this man all to myself. But that will only be in the dreams. The next day, she went to meet the man he paid to disguise as a pastor. "Give me back my money," she said. "Why?" the man asked. "Are you high again? They would have changed you now. You paid for my service and I rendered it, and you are asking me for a refund. My friend, wake up from your slumber." And Olaito said to him, "I went to the man's place yesterday, and he told me that his wife went on a vacation, but you told me she packed out." The man brought out evidence from the day he spoke to her to when she left the house with the bags. And he asked, "Who goes on a vacation dressed like this?" Olaito looked at it critically and sincerely. No one will, because the way she dressed showed she rushed out of the house. "Well, let me keep my fingers crossed. Time will reveal the truth," she said and left. Anu, on her part, was experiencing sapa because she couldn't get a job and she had spent all her savings. She had lost contact as well because she threw her SIM card away and got a new one as someone who was so intentional about leaving. She decided to job hunt again to see if luck will shine on her. She ran into the man and she was shocked because this is a different locality. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I live here," the man responded. "Okay." She felt a bit relieved and said, "Pastor, please help me. I have not eaten and I am still looking for a job. I left my house the next day after the prophecy you gave to me. And for now, I will be living here." The man laughed and laughed and laughed that Anu got provoked. The man called her a fool and said, "First off, I am not a pastor. Now hunger put me for pastoral job that day. Only for that day. Oh. Someone will tell you people to carry the Spirit of God. But you will say, shut up. How can God live in a man? You will argue blindly. The Spirit of God would have whispered to you that day that I am the fakest of the fake. Or he would have given you wisdom to check using the lens of the Spirit what your husband can do and what he can't. Many you don't trust that man. In fact, marriage of these days, I don't seem to understand. Two people will call themselves husband and wife, yet they are technically strangers because 5 years, 6 years, 7 years under the same roof, still they don't know themselves. May God help my generation. See, my dear sister, I have asked God for forgiveness. It was this madam showing her Olaitor's picture that gave me the job. And my sister, she paid real money. I saw good money. And that's the money I use in setting up my business. I beg, everything now fake. Please forgive me. And I stood in awe and said, you are so right. I am not just a fool, but a big fool. She remembered all that Alito had done in the past. She never hid it that she was in a competition with her. And she didn't think it for once that still being single, even with suitors coming, was for a reason. She wept and swallowed her shame and begged the man for tea. The man gave her more than tea. He called it damage control. Anu aborted the job hunting and she hurried home, arranged her bag, and waited for the next day to board the first bus. When she got home, Ojo called her the prodigal wife and said to her, "You truly hurt me. I didn't expect this from you at all. If you were depressed, you would have told me, and I would have planned your vacation so that you can go catch some fresh air, because I know it is not easy." I wasn't depressed, Anu said. She narrated everything to her husband. Ojo wasn't surprised because he knew Olaito was a slut. He also told his wife how she came to help and refused to go, slept over, and wanted to defile the matrimonial bed. Hearing what her husband did made her trust for him to be as firm as a concrete. She apologized, and Ojo forgave her without so much apportioning of blames. He only advised her to be careful of friends and then be open to communicate even to the tiniest things, as many homes are broken due to lack of communication. Soon, many fine girls emerged, worked on their bodies too, and the politicians dumped Olaito, who had long forgotten her career. They wanted to have a taste of the fresh blood and also explore different tribes to see the style they will bring to the table. This new set of girls were far better than Olaito in satisfying them, and so they forgot totally about her. Soon, Olaito became depressed as she doesn't have enough money to maintain her beauty and body, and she jumped down from a 4-story building and didn't survive it. Ojo and her new love became stronger, and they lived in harmony, traveling around the world, enjoying their lives. Hey, Africantales by Camel Tribe. I know you enjoyed the story. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Please let me ask you, do you know you can support my channel by buying me a coffee? Now that you know, the link is in the description of this channel and also on the description of this video. You can also buy a super thanks for me. Thank you in anticipation. Before I go, I would like to say this, that if you're blessed with a good spouse, automatically you are in a competition with so many people. Everybody wants a good husband or a good wife. So if God has blessed you with one, please guide them, hold them tight. And not every prophecy is from God. You must test the spirit to know where the prophecy is coming from in order not to move from grace to grass. Not everybody will be as lucky as Anu. If not for grace, she would have lost her glorious home to the Jezebel. Mount your guard and make sure you are constantly led by the Spirit of God before you do or take any crucial decision. On this note, my special help today is for Kingsley, watching from the United States of America, Fanny Ann, watching from Sierra Leone, and Emodi Antonia, watching from Nigeria. I'm so glad you all love my stories. Let me read what you learned from this particular one in the comment section. And if you want me to send you a special hug in my next video, please comment where you were watching from. Till I bring another story your way, it is a goodbye from here. God bless you.